Hi, Dan. How are the laws of personal development explained by an airplane?
Another relationship between the laws of physics and the laws of personal development. It has to do with this little airplane that I brought out a few days ago. This is just a model airplane made of balsa wood. It's kind of crashed a couple times, but it's not completely broken. And it has a propeller that, when it's wound up and let go, the propeller pulls it forward. I have it because I can hold it in my hand and I can talk about the principles of flight and how the principles of flight are like the principles of personal development, of spiritual development, of your daily life. There are four forces at work on any airplane, whether it's this one or a giant Airbus. One is the forward force. This comes by a propeller, but in most jet airplanes, of course, it's a series of jet engines that move it forward. Thrust is the forward movement. What's pulling you forward? You can identify the things that move you forward. But there are three other forces that are at work at the same time. Forces always come in pairs. There's never a force without an equal and opposite force. That's Newton's first law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Force has an equal and opposite reaction called drag. And that happens so often in our life. It's a phrase. It's a drag. We know that when something's a drag, it's something that's holding you back. It's something that's resisting your forward movement. In drag on the plane, to get a really fast jet airplane, drag is the most important characteristic that needs to be addressed. They know how to produce high forces to push it forward. They know the principles of lift, but drag is something that has to be addressed. What is it that's dragging you back? What is it that's preventing you from moving forward? What is it that's slowing your acceleration? There are also two other forces on the plane. One of them is the actual force of the wings lifting you that have to do with the shape of the wings. The wing produces lift. When you get going a certain speed, the jet plane tilts up, you're on the plane, and it comes off the ground. A huge plane filled with 300 people and all their golf clubs. Lift is the force that works against the force of gravity, which is the weight. What is it that's weighing you down? You know the feeling of lift, and you know the feeling of weight spiritually. It's not a physical force, but you're very familiar. Everybody's familiar with it. I was joyful. I was flying. I was soaring. We talk about lift in terms of elevated emotion. What is it that's working against that? Is the weight. What is it that's keeping you from lifting to the point that you want to be at? There's one other factor on flying that has to do with your everyday corrections in your path. The pilot of the plane has to have a clear destination, pinpoint destination, has to know exactly where that airport is in Chicago when he takes off or she takes off in Los Angeles. You have to know your destination. You don't have to know exactly how to get there, and you usually, an airplane doesn't usually follow exactly the path that was prescribed, but they do as good a job as they can because the destination is the important thing. Working against the goal of the pilot to reach that destination are all of the environmental influences, the wind direction, the altitude, the temperature, the humidity, all kinds of things work to complicate that direction. But the plane is capable of making corrections in its direction all the time by tipping one way or tipping the other. And I don't know who came up with the word, but it's amazing that it's called the attitude of the plane. It is just the tilt of the plane left to right, turns one way, turns the other way, or forward and back. It climbs or it drops. The attitude determines the way the plane is directed, and it's constantly being corrected. Now we have computers that are correcting every hundredth of a second. The plane is changing direction just slightly because a little tiny change in attitude causes a little tiny change in direction. Over time, you're way off course. And that little lesson in flight is a lesson in life. Remember that you have to have a clear destination. You have to have a clarity is important. You can't get in a taxi and the driver says, "Where do you want to go?" And you say, "Well, I don't want to go back to Chicago, that's for sure." Where do you want to go? Well, I want to go home. Okay, that's not clear enough. What is the address? Well, 1842 Alder Street. Oh, okay, the cab driver knows where that is. I don't know the direction to go to get there, but I know where I want to be. Everybody has a goal in mind. Everybody has the idea in mind of what you really love. Make it clear. Definite clarity, definite decision, definite action. You may not know the 10 steps down the road, but you can see the next step. And if you don't see the next step, that's the cue you can put in when you go to sleep at night. Ask.
Thanks for being with us today. My goal is to give you value with every lesson. If you would like us to notify you every time a new lesson is ready, click subscribe below, then turn on notification. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks.